Hello, everyone. This video will help provide context and explanation for the week 2 assignment using the social annotation tool called Hypothesis. And in this video, you'll understand a little bit about social annotation, and I'll go over the assignments this week, which involve annotating a ChatGPT thread and a short article to explore the implications of AI use in the domain of AI art as a means of exploring the implications of AI in other domains. All right, so let's get started. Before we begin, let me remind you that we have most assignments listed on the course syllabus, and this week is no different. We have two that are listed, AI Art Hypothesis Assignment Part 1, and then we have the Part 2 of the assignment. It's actually two separate assignments. This first one is the annotating of a ChatGPT thread, and it does have two parts. Part 1 of this thread is due on Wednesday, and then the other part is due on Sunday. For our second hypothesis assignment, this one you'll be annotating a short article, and the due dates are also on Wednesday and Sunday. So as we'll see in a minute, these hypothesis assignments are kind of like discussions that take place on top of a text or a video of some type, and it's interactive and a way for us to kind of emulate what happens in a face-to-face class. So we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. Before we take a look at the Hypothesis Social Annotation tool, let's take a look at an article that has been annotated by hand. Normally, when you annotate a text, it's not something that a teacher ever asks you to do for a grade. It's something that's kind of expected or encouraged to help you process that text, not only to figure out what it means, what the arguments are, or if you're reading something scientific, what the concepts are, and kind of wrapping your head around those things, but also asking questions, making connections, and doing things that actually help you process the text in a way that will help you to remember the key concepts. Some of that involves writing little summaries out to the side. Sometimes you're writing down connections to other things you've seen, other things you've read, or things that you know about. You're writing down questions, reactions, and things like that to help you figure out not only what's going on in that article or book or whatever it is that you're reading, but also what you think about that and where you stand in relation to that. This is something that we often don't get a lot of formal practice in, but in this class we'll get some of that. But the activity itself is still informal, and it's still very much centered on being beneficial to you. So I just wanted to show this just as a kind of a reminder, because when we do an annotation using a third-party tool, it's going to look a little different, but this is basically the concept. This is where you're having a conversation with the ideas in a text. And when it's a social annotation, you'll be having conversations with other students about how everybody's processing certain elements of the text, making connections, and that kind of thing. So in this way, it does emulate having a discussion about a text in an online environment. Let's click into the Unit 1 folder for a previous semester so we can see what a hypothesis assignment looks like. If we scroll down to the bottom here, we see each assignment link. The first one is centered on a ChatGPT thread, and the one right underneath that is centered on a 2-page article. These are the two main assignments for week 2, and again, since these are group activities, we have two due dates. This is a discussion activity. We have initial annotations due on Wednesday, and we have the reply annotations due by Sunday. I've already opened up a tab for this one. I'm going to click into this so you can see what it looks like. And what we have here is a ChatGPT thread that we are going to annotate and discuss. Over here to the far right, I have a kind of reminder post here that everybody needs to read the lesson on the assignment spotlight before starting this assignment so that you know what the instructions are. how many posts you have to make, what kinds of posts, examples of posts, and things like that. So I'll show you that in just a minute, but it's very important that you do that. Couple of things when you click into this is you'll notice that there's a little icon here that kind of looks like an eye. If you click on that, you'll notice that the highlighting that you saw down here disappears. This can be useful when you're first annotating whatever it is that we're annotating so that you're not distracted by what other people have selected to comment on. But if you're not the first one there, you may want to look and say, oh, what are other people commenting on? And maybe, you're choosing to focus on something else, but you don't have to. So this is a really good thing to toggle on and off depending on your preferences. On the right-hand side, we also see students that are making posts. I'm going to focus on this second one here because this one has a lot of really good things in it. Number one, it has substance to it, and I don't mean just length, but it has some substance to the comment itself. And when they're longer, as you'll see, so normally you'll see something like this where it says more, and you have to click on that to expand it. You can add videos, you can add images, you can add GIFs, you can also add articles to things that are relevant to whatever it is that you are saying. So it's a pretty robust little tool here that lets us do a lot more than a traditional discussion tool in Blackboard, and I think it emulates a little bit more closely the kind of interaction that might take place in a classroom. So this in a nutshell is what a hypothesis assignment looks like. Let's take a look at where you need to go to find out what to do and also get a little bit more insight in terms of why we're doing this assignment. Let's click into the week 2 folder of a current semester and take a look at the two links that we looked at in the previous segment. So the first one we have is the assignment spotlight, which provides an overview of the assignment and the handouts you'll need to complete it. At the very top, we have a very brief overview of part 1, which is the ChatGPT thread, and part 2, which is the annotation of the article on AI art. You'll want to make sure to read those. Underneath that, we have approximately 2 paragraphs providing context and a rationale for why we're doing this exercise. And then down below that, we have the handouts and the overview of each part of the assignment. For the ChatGPT thread, it actually has 2 layers. The first part is going to have you annotate the top half of the thread, and then there's another part of the thread that says part 2 begins here. And that's the part where you'll kind of take a break from annotating the ChatGPT thread and have an opportunity to play on some free AI art generators, create at least one image, but hopefully you'll create several and then choose either one of your favorites, or if you prefer, I'll also show you how to create a little mini AI art gallery that you could share with your group instead, and you'll post that to the designated spot on the ChatGPT thread, answer a few more questions, and then you're done with first assignment. Again, remember that one has 2 due dates, Wednesday and Sunday. Wednesday is for you to make all of your initial annotations to the first half of the thread, and then everything else related to the ChatGPT thread is due by Sunday. That gives you time to, worry about the replies throughout the week, and also gives you time to play around with the AI art generators to be able to post something and wrap up the second part of the thread. Super easy. The 3 handouts that you need that are alluded to right here, I tell you which handouts you need: the assignment overview, part 1 instructions, and an AI art handout to help you find free AI art generators. Now, if we were to look at this one, the hypothesis art in the age of AI overview, it'll load here in just a moment, but this is going to provide an overview of the assignment on the whole. So please read it and look at the assignment overview. You can see what the different layers are of the ChatGPT thread. You can see what the second assignment of the article will involve, and you'll see how each of these will ultimately be graded. Hypothesis does grade on a scale of 1 to 10, and you see, how that is broken up. So that's an overview of both assignments together. In order to complete the ChatGPT thread annotation, this is the one right here that you'll need in terms of instructions. It'll tell you how many annotations you need to make, what kinds of annotations, what kind of tags do you have to put on them. And so as you scroll through and read here, and by the way, these documents are not meant for you to read in tiny form here. They're meant for you to download. So I would recommend that you come over here and click on the download button, save them to your computer. That way you can also, kind of just have those handy whenever. And if you print them out, then you have them to look at while you're completing them. We see that, for part one, we have the minimum requirements that are due here, 10 annotations total with more encouraged, and the breakdown of how many you have to have of each kind. These are the types of tags you can have, and these are the things that you'll be classifying your comments as in order to help me grade and make sure that you've met all the requirements. If you continue to scroll through the file, you'll see that I have examples of each type of comment to show you the expectation, to give you an example of a good annotation for that annotation type, and so on. So I've got the examples not only for the regular part of the conversation, but also for the art part, which is kind of the second half of the ChatGPT thread. And so you'll want to take a look at this. These are the expectations, and this is what you'll need in terms of knowing how many posts you have to make. If you don't click into this and you just click into the assignment, you'll have no idea what to do, how many posts to make, or how it's graded, and things of that nature. If you're not already familiar with AI art generators and which ones are free or which ones have a free version to them, you'll want to click on this handout and maybe download it. It probably, it doesn't obviously include all of them, but I do have some that are here, like Bing Image Creator, which you can also access over here in Copilot. Like you can just type into the chat here that you want it to make a certain image, and it'll, make some version of that, and so on. There's other ways to access that, and I show those here. And you've got little click by click examples here. You can also use Padlet Image Creator. So these are probably the two easiest for people to use because you've already gotten a little bit of experience, if you didn't have it already, with Copilot and with Padlet. Both of those are free for you to use. And then there are, a jillion others. If you're familiar with others, you're certainly welcome to use those. They also just came out with a new one called Flux AI that is kind of getting a lot of buzz now. But free is always relative, so you'll have to take a look at those and kind of make your own decision. So, but those are the ones you need for part one. Then if we look down here for part two, this is the one for the ChatGPT, not the thread, but an article about art and the science of generative AI. I have the article here by itself if you wanted to print it out and look at it on your own before you get into the hypothesis assignment, or you can wait and read it there. This is the one that you need for the assignment instructions for part two, and it's structured just like the other one. It's got the tag types, they're the same. This one, though, we've got different requirements in terms of the total number of annotations. This one, since it's such a short article, you can have 8 to 10 annotations with an emphasis on quality. And notice up here on these instructions, I'm telling you, you have to include at least one question, at least one lateral reading tag, at least one reflection tag, and at least 3 reply tags. The others are free choice. And I've got the same examples here. So those are the files that you need in order to complete the assignment. If we click in here to the tech tool review or overview, this gives us an idea of what hypothesis is and how it works. I do have an interactive card here that has tips, a guide, an intro to the app, and extras. This can be super useful to you as you work in the assignment. If you forget how to do something like add video links or how do I make an annotation, you can click on the appropriate link and it will open in another tab and you can see, and kind of scroll until you find what it is that you are looking for. So if you want to see, oh, how do I add an image? You see that you're going to click on the little icon that looks like an image and you're going to get the URL or web address for that image, pop that in there, and then you'll click, you'll post that and you'll see your image there. Another really neat trick is that if you're in an hypothesis social annotation assignment and you forget how to do something, you can also open up Copilot over here and you can ask. I've done this before when I've forgotten how to do something in various programs, and you can ask, how do I add a video in Hypothesis, the social annotation tool? And it will come up with the steps there for you. So that's another neat trick to know. So this in a nutshell is what we're doing for the week, and this is how it works, and this is also the workflow that you'll follow each week. You want to make sure you're going to read whatever it is that I have here before you complete assignments. This week, these are not really lectures in terms of course content per se. These are lectures in terms of how to do the assignment, why we're doing the assignment, and an overview of how this hypothesis tool is going to work. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and let me know if you have any questions.